Every country has a national day, but few countries chose to honor a poet. Portugal's national holiday, celebrated on the 10th of June, is officially called the Day of Portugal, Camões, and the Portuguese communities. It commemorates the death of Luís de Camões, the greatest poet in the Portuguese language, who died on the 10th of June 1580. His epic poem Os Lusíadas, the Lusíadas, is to Portugal what Homer is to Greece, the foundational text of a civilization's identity. This is the story of why a small European nation chose a rider as its national symbol. To understand Portugal Day, you need to understand Os Lusíadas. Published in 1572, the poem is an epic account of Vasco da Gama's voyage from Portugal to India around the Cape of Good Hope, completed in 1498. Camões wrote in 10 cantos and 1,102 stanzas, drawing on classical epic tradition, Homer, Virgil, to tell the story of Portuguese maritime discovery. But Os Lusíadas is not simply a celebration of one voyage. It is a meditation on Portugal's place in the world, on the courage and cost of exploration, and on what it means to be a small nation that changed the map of the world. The 10th of June 1880 was the 300th anniversary of Camões's death, and Portugal marked it as a national celebration for the first time. The date was chosen deliberately, at a moment when Portugal was facing decline, its empire diminishing, its economy struggling. The centenary of Camões became a rallying point for national identity. The poet who had celebrated Portuguese greatness in the age of the discoveries became a symbol of what Portugal had been and could be again. The holiday that emerged from that 1880 commemoration eventually became the official national day under the Republic, formalized after the Revolution of 1974. Camões himself had a life that matched the turbulence of the age he described. Born around 1524 or 1525, historians are not certain of the exact year. He served as a soldier in North Africa, where he lost his right eye in battle. He was imprisoned in Lisbon after a street brawl. He sailed to India and spent 17 years in the Portuguese colonies of the East, including Goa and Macau. He was shipwrecked near the Mekong Delta, reportedly swimming to shore with his manuscript above the water to save it. He died in Lisbon in 1580, in poverty, the same year Portugal lost its independence to Spain. The man who celebrated empire ended his life watching it collapse. Portugal Day today is marked with a military parade in Lisbon, cultural events, and the annual award of the Order of Portugal to distinguished citizens. It is also the Day of the Portuguese Communities, a formal acknowledgement of the vast Portuguese diaspora worldwide. Portugal has one of the highest emigration rates in Europe. There are significant Portuguese communities in France, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Brazil, the United States, Canada, Angola, and Mozambique. Portugal Day is a day for all of them, a reminder that Portuguese identity extends far beyond the borders of the country itself. One of the most distinctive celebrations connected to Portugal Day is the Festas de Lisboa, the June festivals of Lisbon, which run through the entire month of June and peak around the 12th and 13th of June for the Feast of St. Anthony of Lisbon. Streets throughout the Alfama and Moreira neighborhoods fill with sardines on grills, plastic cups of wine, music, and dancing. The festa is inseparable from the identity of Lisbon in June. Portugal Day on the 10th falls in the heart of this festival period, giving the national holiday an atmosphere of collective joy that goes beyond the official military parade. 3 facts about Portugal Day. First, Os Lusíadas is required reading in Portuguese schools and has been continuously in print for more than 450 years, making it one of the longest-running literary classics in European publishing history. Second, Vasco da Gama's voyage to India in 1498 opened the first direct sea route between Europe and Asia, bypassing the Ottoman-controlled overland routes and reshaping global trade for centuries. Third, Portugal's empire, at its height in the 16th and 17th centuries, spanned 4 continents, from Brazil to Angola, to Mozambique, to Goa, to Macau, to Timor. Its legacy persists in the fact that Portuguese is today the official language of 9 countries and spoken by 250 million people worldwide. What Portugal Day reveals is a nation that has chosen memory and culture over military victory as its national symbol. Most national days commemorate a military event, a battle, a liberation, an independence declaration. Portugal chose a poet who died in poverty after a life of adventure and exile, whose greatest work celebrated a voyage that happened 60 years before his death. The choice reflects something deep in Portuguese identity, a sense that the nation's greatest achievement was not a conquest, but a discovery, and that the truest way to honor it is through language. Across the Lusophone world, the countries and communities where Portuguese is spoken, the 10th of June carries particular resonance. In Brazil, which has more Portuguese speakers than Portugal itself, Portuguese language and culture is marked in cultural institutions and universities. In Angola, Cape Verde, Mozambique, and other Portuguese-speaking African nations, the date is observed in various ways, acknowledging both the shared language and the complex colonial history it carries. Portugal Day is not a simple celebration. It is a day that asks a diaspora of 250 million people what their shared inheritance means to them. Portugal Day falls on the 10th of June 2026. If you want to plan your time off around Portuguese public holidays or experience the Festas de Lisboa during the most vibrant month of the Lisbon calendar, Vacation Maximizer can find the best PTO combinations for Portugal. Download Vacation Maximizer free on iOS and Android.